Hello, my name is Jeff Greenfield. As an employee of the Connecticut House Democrats, I've worked on our state's redistricting project during the past 3 cycles. Today, I've been asked to tell you a bit about redistricting in general and how this process works in Connecticut. In most states, the state legislature has primary control over redistricting for both the legislative and congressional districts. Like a bill or resolution, redistricting plans are approved by the State House and Senate, usually with the governor able to veto the plan and the legislature able to override a veto. Some states have commissions with powers ranging from strictly advisory to, in a few cases, the ability to approve a plan without any review of the legislature. All redistricting plans then can be challenged in state or federal court. Connecticut is in the large group of states where the legislature controls the process, but our process is unique. It is bipartisan. Generally, no plan can be approved without the support of both Republicans and Democrats. Also, the governor plays no role in redistricting other than fulfilling a technical responsibility. In Connecticut, Democratic and Republican legislative leaders each appoint 4 members to a committee. A plan approved by the committee requires a 2/3 majority of both chambers of the legislature to become law. If by its deadline the committee and legislature fail to approve a plan, then the legislative leaders again appoint 8 members, this time to a bipartisan commission. Those 8 then select a 9th member. The commission has another deadline to finalize the maps, and its decisions are not subject to legislative review. If it fails to do so, then complete control of the redistricting process is turned over to the Connecticut Supreme Court. There are many advantages and disadvantages to this system. Just one example is that since neither party can impose its will on the other, districts overall may be more fair and more competitive than in other states. In a partisan gerrymander, Party A draws districts that give it an advantage by packing as many of Party B's voters as possible into a small number of districts, and then fracturing the rest of Party B's voters into many districts that favor Party A. But neither Republicans nor Democrats can enact a partisan gerrymander in Connecticut. On the other hand, some observers believe that while this bipartisan system prevents partisan gerrymanders, it may lead to bipartisan gerrymanders, where the 2 parties agree to help each other's incumbents or achieve other goals. This could actually reduce the ability of future challengers of either party to compete. With the many legal, demographic, technical, and political factors that go into developing a redistricting plan, it is always difficult to approve plans, and Connecticut's experience demonstrates that. In fact, no plan has been approved during the committee stage since 1981. During the last 3 cycles, plans for the State House and Senate were approved by the Commission shortly before its deadline. Congress has been even more difficult. In the last 2 cycles, the Commission failed to approve a plan. The Supreme Court both times granted the Commission an extension, and in 2001, the Commission finally approved a plan just hours before the new final court-imposed deadline. You may remember that the challenge that year was that Connecticut had lost a congressional district due to its population in the 1990s growing slower than the nation as a whole. That meant that all congressional districts had to be changed significantly, and that 2 incumbents had to be placed in the same district. In 2011, the Commission failed to approve a plan for Congress by the extended deadline. The court and the special master it hired then considered extensive arguments by Republicans, Democrats, municipal officials, representatives of minority groups, and other interested individuals. The court ordered the special master to draw a plan which changed the existing districts only as much as needed to comply with the federal constitutional requirements of equal population, known as 1 person, 1 vote, and the Voting Rights Act, plus that the new districts be contiguous and not be substantially worse in compactness and respect for town integrity. Effectively, the court ordered the master to draw a plan which only minimally changed the plan approved by the 2001 Commission, and such a plan is what the court ultimately adopted. there are many often competing principles that people advocate for in what they would view as a fair redistricting plan. For example, some view equal population as paramount and believe that variation in the number of people in different districts should be minimized. Others want to maintain the integrity of political subdivisions, in our case, our 169 towns. But the smaller the deviation between districts, the more towns that will need to be divided. Other examples include that town integrity can conflict with the goal of drawing politically competitive districts, and compactness may conflict with maintaining communities of interest or withdrawing districts that protect the ability of minority groups to elect candidates of choice. It may be interesting for your students to discuss what they believe is most important in drawing districts. Redistricting can also provide an interesting way to look at demographic changes in society. Here's a map of the state Senate as redistricted following the 1910 census. Out of 35 Senate districts, fully 10 are in Hartford, Bridgeport, and New Haven alone, meaning that a century ago, almost 30% of the state's population lived in just those three cities. Even in 1950, 25% of the population was in those cities. But by 2000, with the significant drop in their population and the dramatic growth of suburbs and other areas, it had dropped to only a little over 11%, with a resulting drop in those three cities' political influence. But it is interesting that in the past decade, the trend reversed, and the cities both grew in total population and grew at close to the same rate as the state as a whole. And so for the first time in decades, the political strength of those three cities, as reflected by the number of districts they control in the legislature, did not decline following the 2011 redistricting. Thank you for joining me today to learn about Connecticut's redistricting process. I hope you have found this informative and useful for your classroom.